The psychology of quiet authority. Have you ever met someone who immediately commanded respect? Without raising their voice? Without bragging about their achievements? Without demanding attention? Some people have a quiet kind of authority. When they speak, people listen. When they walk into a room, others notice. Not because they're the loudest person there, but because they carry themselves with quiet confidence. Many men spend years trying to earn respect by appearing more dominant, talking louder, arguing harder, trying to prove they're important. But real authority rarely behaves that way. In fact, the people with the greatest influence are often the least interested in showing everyone they have it. Why? Because authority isn't something you announce. It's something other people willingly give you. Today, we're going to explore the psychology of quiet authority, why it earns more respect than loud confidence, and how emotionally intelligent men develop a presence that people naturally trust. Let's begin. Number 1. Quiet authority doesn't need to prove itself. Insecurity often talks. Confidence often listens. Think about the people who constantly remind everyone how successful they are, how intelligent they are, how important they are. They're usually trying to convince other people, and sometimes themselves. Men with quiet authority don't feel that need. They allow their actions to speak first. Their confidence isn't built on applause. It's built on self-respect. And because of that, they don't chase recognition. Ironically, the less someone needs approval, the more respect they often receive. Number 2, they speak with purpose. One of the easiest ways to recognize quiet authority is by the way someone communicates. They don't speak just to fill silence. They don't interrupt every conversation. They don't dominate every discussion. Instead, they choose their words carefully. When they have something meaningful to say, they say it. When they don't, they're comfortable remaining silent. This creates something powerful. People begin paying attention because they know this person doesn't speak without purpose. Sometimes fewer words carry more weight than longer speeches. Number 3, they remain composed when others lose control. Pressure reveals character. When emotions rise, many people become louder, more defensive, more reactive. Men with quiet authority do the opposite. They remain steady, not because they never feel emotion, but because they refuse to let emotion control their behavior. That calmness sends a powerful psychological message. This person is in control of themselves. And people naturally trust those who demonstrate self-control under pressure. Number 5, they don't react to every challenge. One of the fastest ways to lose authority is to feel the need to respond to everything. Every criticism, every opinion, every insult, every attempt to provoke you. Many men believe they have to defend themselves every time someone questions them. Men with quiet authority understand something different. Not every challenge deserves a response. Sometimes silence communicates more confidence than a long explanation. When someone is emotionally secure, they don't feel pressured to prove themselves to everyone. They choose their battles carefully. And because of that, their words carry far more weight when they finally decide to speak. Number 6, they make other people feel important. Here's something surprising. People with quiet authority don't spend most of their time talking about themselves. They ask thoughtful questions. They listen carefully. They remember details. They make other people feel heard. This creates a powerful psychological effect. People naturally enjoy being around those who genuinely listen. It builds trust, respect, and connection. Many men think influence comes from saying impressive things. In reality, influence often begins by making other people feel understood. Number 7, they set standards without seeking permission. Men with quiet authority don't constantly ask for approval before making decisions. They know what they stand for. They know their values. And they know their boundaries. If something doesn't align with those values, they calmly say no. Not aggressively, not emotionally, simply with certainty. That quiet certainty earns respect. Because people can sense when someone has principles that aren't easily shaken by pressure or popularity. Number 8, they create calm instead of chaos. Have you ever noticed that some people make every situation feel more stressful? They panic, complain, spread negativity, magnify every problem. Then there are people who walk into the exact same situation, and everyone feels calmer. They don't pretend the problem doesn't exist. They simply refuse to let panic take over. This is one of the strongest forms of leadership. People naturally look for emotional stability during uncertainty. The person who remains composed often becomes the person others trust, not because they know everything, but because they help everyone think more clearly. A quality women quietly admire. Many women are drawn to men who remain emotionally grounded, not because they're emotionally distant, but because they're emotionally dependable. A man who doesn't become defensive over small disagreements, who doesn't need constant reassurance, who stays respectful under pressure, who doesn't let his emotions control every decision. That kind of stability creates emotional safety. And emotional safety often becomes one of the strongest foundations of lasting attraction. We've now seen why men with quiet authority don't react to every challenge, why they make others feel important, why they stand by their values without seeking approval, and why they create calm instead of chaos. But the final lessons may be the most important, because they reveal why quiet authority cannot be faked, why respect is earned instead of demanded, and how the strongest men influence others without ever trying to control them. Number 9. They never chase respect. One of the biggest misunderstandings about respect is believing you can demand it. You can't. You can demand obedience. You can demand attention. You can even demand silence. But genuine respect is different. It's freely given. Men with quiet authority understand this. They don't spend their lives trying to convince people they're important. They simply live in a way that naturally earns respect. They keep their promises. They stay consistent. They remain calm under pressure. Over time, people begin trusting them, not because they asked for respect, but because they demonstrated they deserved it. Number 10. They are comfortable standing alone. Many people compromise their values because they're afraid of being rejected. They agree with opinions they don't actually believe. They tolerate behavior that makes them uncomfortable. They seek acceptance at the cost of self-respect. Men with quiet authority think differently. They're willing to stand alone when necessary, not because they enjoy conflict, but because they refuse to betray their principles for approval. Ironically, people often admire those who remain true to themselves, even when they don't agree with them, because integrity is difficult to fake, and people instinctively recognize it. Number 11. They make decisions, not excuses. Every leader eventually faces difficult decisions. There will never be perfect information, perfect timing, or perfect certainty. Men with quiet authority don't become paralyzed by fear. They gather the facts, think carefully, then make a decision. If they're wrong, they learn. If they're right, they stay humble. They don't waste energy blaming circumstances or other people. Responsibility gives them credibility, and credibility is one of the strongest sources of real authority. Number 12. Their character speaks before they do. Have you ever noticed that some people earn trust almost immediately? Not because of what they say, but because of how they consistently behave. Character has a quiet voice. It appears in the small moments. Keeping your word, showing up on time, treating everyone with respect, remaining calm during pressure, doing the right thing when nobody is watching. Over time, those small actions become a reputation. And that reputation begins speaking before you ever open your mouth. That's quiet authority. The bigger lesson: quiet authority isn't about becoming mysterious. It's not about pretending to be emotionless. And it's certainly not about trying to look powerful. It's about becoming so secure in who you are that you no longer feel the need to constantly prove it. When your confidence comes from your character, instead of other people's opinions, everything changes. You become harder to manipulate, harder to intimidate, and much easier to trust. Final message: if there's one thing to remember from this video, it's this. The men with the greatest authority are rarely the loudest men in the room. They're the men who control themselves before trying to control anything else. They don't chase attention. They don't argue for validation. They don't seek approval from everyone they meet. Instead, They lead by example. They speak with intention. They remain calm under pressure. They protect their values. And they allow their actions to build the reputation that their words never have to defend. Because real authority isn't created by volume. It's created by consistency. And in dating, relationships, business, and life, the men who quietly master themselves are often the men the world naturally chooses to follow. That's the power of quiet authority. Click the subscribe button, like, share, and follow for more.